and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to talk about why your metabolism may have slowed down and how to fix it. So if you're watching this video, you're possibly in one of the following scenarios. Say, you're living your life, you're eating normally, and one day you decide, hey, I'm gonna go on a diet, I'm gonna lose some weight. So maybe you weren't tracking your calories before, or maybe you were eating, say, like 2,000 calories a day or 2,500 calories a day, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna reduce my calories to 1,500 calories because that's what my fitness pal tells me to do. And so away you go. So you're eating 1,500 calories a day, you're kind of hungry all the time, but you get through it, and you start losing some weight, so you're excited. And you keep losing weight until at some point you plateau and you can't lose any more weight, and the only way that you can lose more weight is to eat even less. Or maybe you started a diet, lost some weight, and now you're happy with it and you just want to kind of maintain where you're at. But you're kind of hungry all the time, and every time you start to want to eat a bit more, you just start piling on the weight again. Or you lost some weight and you're trying to keep it off, and now you notice that you just have to keep doing more and more cardio every day just to maintain your current physique. And maybe you're up to like 1 or 2 hours of cardio every single day, which, as we all know, really jacks up your appetite, which leads to more binging, more restricting, and more cardio, and the cycle just goes on and on. So if you find yourself in any of these scenarios, you're probably mentally and physically exhausted. You're exhausted from thinking about food, you're exhausted from exercise, you're just tired of having your weight fluctuate so much every time you start to eat a little bit more. You're tired of thinking about how you can possibly eat less calories and how you can exercise to burn the most calories, right? Does this sound familiar? All right, so before we go any further, I just want to explain what I mean when I say a low calorie diet, because it's not a specific number, because everybody's, maintenance calories are different. So what a low calorie diet means is you're in a really large caloric deficit. So, and I would consider anything larger than 30% of your maintenance calories to be a large caloric deficit. For example, if your maintenance calories are 2,000 and you're in a 30% deficit, 30% of 2,000 is 600. So you'd be eating 2,000 minus 600 equals 1,400 calories. So if your maintenance is at 2,000 calories and you're dieting at 30% deficit, that means you're eating 1,400 calories a day. So in my books, that is a really large deficit. Okay, so let's go back to those previous scenarios and say you're one of these people who has been eating 1,400 calories for the last couple months, and say initially you did lose some weight and it did work, but now you've stopped losing weight and you're hungry all the time, and every time you increase your calories, even just slightly, say you just increase to 1,600, you just start gaining weight, right? It doesn't seem to make sense because you're still eating less than your maintenance calories. So what is happening here? First of all, your metabolism is not broken or damaged. It is just adapted to the situation, and this is a survival mechanism. So for example, if you have gone on a low calorie diet and you have lost weight initially, but then you've noticed that it just peters off and then your weight starts, going up as you increase your calories. Well, the reason is as you reduce your caloric intake, your body is very smart and efficient, and it's like, well, dang, we're not getting as much energy as we used to get, so we better slow down the production and we better get more efficient with the energy that we do have coming in, because we still need to perform all the functions of our body, but we're gonna have to do so on less energy. So because the body is this beautiful, brilliant thing that is helping us survive, it can get by with less calories. And the second reason that your weight loss will often plateau after a couple months is because as you lose fat, the less fat you have, the less happy your body is about burning it off, because you do need fat to survive. And when your body is in a sort of starvation state, which if you're eating 1400 calories, you actually are in a starvation state. The body is like, no, we're not going to lose any more fat. We're going to hold on to this body fat for dear life, because we don't know how long this period, this famine, this period of restriction is going to end. Your body doesn't know that you plan on ending your diet in a month or 2 months or when you reach your goal. It doesn't know that. It just assumes that you're going to be dieting forever, and therefore it's like, we're not getting rid of any more fat. And the other thing is, the larger the caloric deficit is that you're putting yourself in, the faster your metabolism is going to adapt to the low calories. And that's why I always recommend, if you legitimately do have body fat to lose, that you start with the smallest minimally effective caloric deficit. So, 10%. So if your maintenance calories are 2,000, 10% of that, 200 calories. So you're eating 1,800 calories. But I'm going to talk about, the safe and effective way to lose weight at the end of this video. So stay tuned. Hopefully this is making sense so far. So now, where do we go from here? If you're one of these people who kind of fits into one of the categories of these situations that I previously mentioned, what do you do? Okay, number one, stop dieting. Take yourself out of your caloric deficit and eat at maintenance calories. Number two, stop doing excessive cardio, because a lot of people who are, dieting on low calories are also cardio junkies and just constantly trying to purge calories through cardio. This has to stop. You need to break the cycle of restriction, binging, and purging. And by purging, I don't necessarily mean throwing up, because most people don't actually throw up, but they do purge their calories through excessive exercise, and usually through cardio. You need to get your body out of survival mode in order to speed up your metabolism by eating at maintenance calories or slightly above maintenance calories for a period of time. Your body needs to feel safe, and it needs to know that this famine, this diet is over. Otherwise, it's not gonna stop storing every extra calorie as fat. And if you're watching this and you're like, well, I don't know how to calculate my maintenance calories. Well, I have a video about that where I explain how to do it, and also I explain how to do it exactly step by step in my ebook, and I'll leave the links to both the ebook and the video in the description box below. And you might also be wondering, well, how long do I need to eat at maintenance before my metabolism is healed and I can try to, lose weight again? And the answer to that is, it's gonna vary from person to person. If you've been severely restricting, maybe if you've been diagnosed with anorexia or something like that and you've been doing this for 10 years, well, it's gonna take longer to heal than someone who just, started dieting maybe 6 months ago and before that never really dieted. And also you need to ask yourself, do you actually need to lose weight? Because a lot of people who are constantly trying to lose weight, they don't actually need to, and they're suffering from body dysmorphia. And I've been through all that myself, so I understand. So I'm not trying to be critical or whatever, but just really ask yourself, do I really even need to lose weight? Because maybe you don't. Maybe you should just stop dieting and just eat at maintenance and just maintain what you have, maybe build some more muscle. But for those of you who just really want a number, I'm gonna just throw something out at you, and I'm gonna say 3 months. 3 months of eating at maintenance to heal your metabolism and to get it back up to where it should be. Okay, now what you eat during this refeeding phase is also important. So because you've been restricting yourself for so long, not only have you depleted yourself of energy and calories in general, but you've probably also depleted yourself of micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, things like that, and that your body really needs. So during this time of eating sufficient calories again and getting your metabolism back up to where it should be, you need to be eating a lot of whole foods, a lot of nutrient dense, balanced meals, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, as minimally processed as possible. And when I say balanced, I mean, not restricting any macronutrients. So say you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna eat 2,500 calories because that's my maintenance, but I'm going to eat, 5 to 10% fats. Well, that's kind of, it's better that you're eating more calories, but it's still a form of restriction. You're still restricting yourself, you're restricting your fats and eating a super low fat diet. So you really just want to eat a balanced, healthy macro split during this time. And everybody's going to vary a little bit on what they feel best with. Some people do better with slightly higher carb, slightly lower fat. Some people do better with high fat and slightly lower carb. So, start with the basic split, 60% carbs, 20 fat, 20 protein, and then just kind of like adjust it from there based on how you feel. But seriously, do not go on a keto diet, do not go on a super low fat diet if you're trying to recover your metabolism and you're trying to recover from all these kind of crazy eating and exercising behaviors. What you want now is balance, not another form of restriction. And as a side note, you don't have to eat completely healthy. A big part of dieting is mentally telling yourself, no, you can't have this, no, you can't have your favorite junk food or your favorite treats and all that. So that's also a really big factor in why we binge, is because we've told ourselves, no, we can't have this, we're never having this again, and then we have one, and then we're like, no, we need to eat the entire bag, right? So when you're doing your refeed phase, I want you definitely to focus on healthy, whole foods, lots of fruits and vegetables, lots of beans and nuts, but allow yourself to have junk food. You know what? I always tell people that they should allocate maybe 10 to 20% of their daily calories to junk food, to stuff that they think is bad, stuff that they, wouldn't consider clean and that they're trying to eliminate from their diet. No, I think it's actually really helpful to plan, to actually intend to eat something junky every single day, because it does keep you psychologically much more satisfied. And if you don't have much of a concept for, how to prepare healthy, balanced, nutrient-dense, whole foods meals, I do have an ebook. It's called This Is How I Eat, and it's basically a collection of all of my favorite simple, go-to, nutrient-dense, well-balanced, delicious, simple, cheap to make, just my favorite recipes that I eat every single day and that make me feel really good. And I'm not saying that, the way I eat is gonna work for everybody, but it works really well for me, and if you feel like you kind of relate to me, maybe the recipes will help you. So yeah, link will be in the description. Okay, now I want to talk quickly just about reverse dieting, because this is something that people tell me. They ask me about reverse dieting when I'm doing consults with people in the scenarios that we're talking about. So if someone is eating 1,400 calories and they tell me that when they bump it up, they start eating more, they just start gaining weight really quickly, and would it be better to do a reverse diet? I'm talking so fast right now. Would it be better to do a reverse diet? So instead of just tomorrow being like, okay, I'm gonna eat at maintenance, I'm gonna eat 2,500 calories for the next 3 months, would it be better to next week eat 1,500 calories, then the week after that eat 1,600 calories, and the week after that get to 1,700 calories, until you're gradually going back up to 2,500 or whatever your maintenance calories are? And I would say that doing that is better than not doing it at all, but you are basically just dragging out the process. The faster you get up to maintenance and, just get up to maintenance, the faster you're kind of gonna heal your metabolism. So if you feel like you just possibly can't go up to 2,500 calories right away, then okay, then do your reverse diet, but just know that it's not really gonna make a huge difference, and it's just kind of, in weight gain or whatever, and it is gonna drag out the healing period by a few weeks or however long it takes you to get up to 2,500 calories. And whether you do the reverse dieting or you just jump right back into maintenance calories, you're gonna have to accept that there is a possibility that you will gain a little bit of weight. And I know that sounds scary, but just think about it in perspective. You probably won't gain more than 5 pounds. If you're truly eating at your maintenance calories, you're not gonna gain a ton of weight. And if you do gain a little bit of weight, it's okay, it's okay. When I was going through this, I think I gained maybe 5 pounds, 10 pounds at the most. Like, it wasn't huge, and I was eating a lot, you know? So just keep that in mind and be prepared for it, be mentally prepared, and just know that it's okay, and know that this is what your body needs to heal. Just accept that this is part of the healing process, and by doing this, by gaining just a little bit of weight, you're working with your body instead of against it. And just remember that the more consistent you are with eating sufficient calories, good nutritious food, that the faster your metabolism will heal. On the flip side, if you start doing this, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna eat maintenance calories, but then, you know, you have a bad day and you start second guessing yourself, and then you're like, oh no, tomorrow I'm only gonna eat 1,500 calories, and you know, you start restricting again. You're just delaying it. You're just drawing out this situation. So truly, the more consistent you can be every single day that you feed yourself properly, it's a step closer to healing your metabolism. Something that really helped me deal with the weight gain when I was going through this myself was to change the perception that I had of the extra fat that I had on my body. So what I used to do was I would look at myself in the mirror and I would like pinch my fat, look at my love handles, and just be disgusted with myself and just say, oh, you're disgusting, or you know, something terrible like that. But when I made the conscious decision to change my perception of my body, I would look in the mirror and see that fat and think, oh, this is what your body needs to heal. I would see the fat as sort of like a healing medicine for my body, because clearly at the time my body needed to hang on to a little bit of extra fat to feel safe. Okay, let's move on. So say you've eaten at maintenance calories for 3 months, you've followed everything that I've, you know, suggested in this video, and you've noticed that, you know, you maybe gained a couple of pounds when you started eating at maintenance, but now your weight is stable, you are no longer gaining weight, and your metabolism has fixed itself. You can now eat 2,500 calories and not gain weight. Great. So now what? What if you still want to lose weight? How do you do this without messing up your metabolism again? So first of all, ask yourself and be very honest with yourself, do you actually need to lose weight? Is it possible that you might not be perceiving yourself clearly? Is it possible that you might have body dysmorphia and that you think you need to lose weight, but you actually don't? What you probably need in this case is to gain some muscle, or actually you don't need anything really, like you don't need to do anything. But so ask yourself that, okay, if the answer is legitimately yes, I'm still at a higher BMI than, you know, is ideal for my body. If you truly are, you know, at a higher body fat percentage and it would be beneficial for you to reduce it slightly, and you do want to lose some weight, how should you go about it so that you don't mess up your metabolism all over again? Okay, so say your maintenance calories are 2,000 calories a day. Then I would say start with the smallest, minimally effective caloric deficit. So if you were my client, I would say, okay, we're gonna start you at a 10% caloric deficit. So that would mean you would be eating 200 calories less than 2,000 calories. So you'd be eating 1,800 calories. Okay, so we start that, and that will probably work because your metabolism is fixed. So, and it's great because you can lose weight at a healthy, slow pace in a very small deficit. So, okay, so say you're going along, a month and a half goes by or so, and you stop losing weight again. So you start plateauing. So you're like, okay, now what? Then I would say, okay, you can increase the deficit ever so slightly, maybe to 15%, 20% deficit max, okay? So then you do that, and you're going along, you start losing weight again. Everything's great. Then, A few weeks later, a couple months later, you plateau again. Then what? Should you decrease your calories even more? No. You should go back to eating at maintenance for at least a couple of weeks to just reset your metabolism and make sure that your body is not going to go back into that survival mode. After a couple weeks of, again, eating at maintenance, then if you truly still have weight to lose, then you can again implement the 10% caloric deficit. So the most important thing that I want you to know in order to not mess up your metabolism, or if you're watching this and you've never dieted before, then this is really good advice for you as well. So start with a 10% deficit, keep that until you stop losing weight, do a 20% deficit, do that until you stop losing weight, or about 2 months goes by. So you shouldn't keep dieting in a deficit for more than a couple months without taking a diet break. So after a couple months or after the second time, your weight plateaus, it's time to take a break and take, 1 to 3 weeks off of your dieting to eat just at maintenance calories, and then you can start it over again. It's really important to not diet for too long without taking a break and eating at maintenance so that your metabolism doesn't adapt. And honestly, you don't need to be at a bigger deficit than 20%, because the faster you lose, if you go in a big deficit, you lose weight really fast, you're gonna get on the yo-yo, you're gonna get on the roller coaster, and it's not gonna be a fun ride. Whereas if you're just going at a nice steady pace, your body never gets pushed into that kind of survival panic state where it's like, oh my gosh, give me all the food, give me all the calories, I'm just going to store them as fat because there's a famine going on and we don't know when it's gonna end. So don't do that. Okay, so far we've talked a whole lot about food and calories and eating, but sorry, we haven't talked about exercise. And should you exercise during this maintenance refeeding phase, and what kind of exercise should you do, and yada yada. Okay, here we go. So if you are a female and you do not have your period, then no exercise. No exercise until a month or two after you get your period back. That's what I would truly recommend. However, if you're relatively healthy, your hormones are functioning quite well, then you can continue to exercise, but I would really recommend changing up your exercise, especially if you are a cardio junkie and just doing a lot of cardio or a lot of HIIT. I would definitely recommend switching it up to, wait for it, can you guess? Can you guess what I'm gonna say? Yeah, weightlifting. And the reason I recommend weightlifting is because obviously, the more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism is going to be. And the other reason why I don't really recommend doing a ton of HIIT and a ton of cardio when you're trying to heal your metabolism is because doing a lot of HIIT and a lot of cardio just sends your body back into that fight or flight mode. Because if you really think about it from an evolutionary standpoint, if you're running for 2 hours a day or you're constantly out of breath, you're in this stress state, your body doesn't really know that you're just on a treadmill or you're just, on an exercise bike or whatever. It doesn't know that. It thinks you're running from a tiger or something and it's scared. So it's gonna put you in that fight or flight mode, and in that mode, you can't heal. And yeah, while weightlifting may actually burn less calories than doing a HIIT workout or some cardio, in the long term, it's just so much more beneficial in raising your metabolism because, as I already said, you're building muscle. And HIIT workouts do raise your metabolism in the short term, like on that day. So what I mean by this is, say you do a intense HIIT workout that's 20 minutes that burns, say, 300 calories versus say if you're on the exercise bike at a low, steady state cardio for 35 or 40 minutes and you burn 300 calories. Okay, well, if you had done the HIIT workout you're burning the same amount of calories as, you know, the steady state cardio, but for the rest of the day you will be burning slightly more calories because of the HIIT workout rather than the cardio. So while HIIT workouts do, you know, that day or for the next day and a half slightly raise your metabolism, they don't, it's not permanent, it's not like a permanent metabolism boosting exercise such as weightlifting, because it doesn't actually build more muscle unless you're a complete new person to exercising. Like if you've never exercised and you start doing my HIIT workouts, you are going to build some muscle and it will increase your metabolism. But if you're someone who's been doing tons of cardio and tons of HIIT for the last years, you're not going to be building more muscle during these workouts. You're basically just burning calories and maintaining the muscle that you do have. So to sum it up, in order to fix your metabolism, you gotta do less cardio and you gotta eat more. I know it seems counterintuitive, and it took me a long time to really believe it. I didn't really even start believing it until it started happening to me, but what can I say? It works. It worked for me. So yeah. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below, and I just like to let you know that I do offer online coaching. So I do kind of a couple different styles of coaching. Some people just kind of want a one-off consultation where we kind of do a problem-solving session via Skype. So you would kind of like tell me your history, tell me what your problem is, tell me what you've been doing, and then I would kind of, you know, problem solve and give you some suggestions on how to modify your lifestyle and your situation and your habits. So that would just be like a one-off thing. And I also do, I make customized workout programs. So it's kind of like a 3-month coaching agreement. So for the 3 months, the fee is $180. And what you get for that is a 1-hour Skype consultation where we do the problem solving session as well. And I just kind of get to know you, learn a little bit about what you want, what your goals are, and what your history is. And then I put together a customized workout program for you. So if you want something that you can work out at home, or if you want something at the gym, if you want to you know, increase your strength, if you want to build your glutes, like whatever, you know, customized for you. And I also give macro guidelines. So I don't actually say, you know, I don't give a meal plan. So this is what's for breakfast, this is what's for lunch, and this is what's for dinner. But I say, okay, aim for 2,300 calories a day, aim for 80 to 100 grams of protein a day. And there's a lot of flexibility in that because I don't believe in a rigid approach. But yeah, that's a little bit more about what I do. So if you're interested in working with me, you can email me at christinesalas@gmail.com, and I'll put that email in the description box. So if you're interested, send me an email and tell me what you'd like help with, and we can go from there. Okay. All right, that's it. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.